Okay guys, here's a quick video of gold recovery from old computers. Now when I do this, I try to be quick about it, and what I go for is right off the bat as I get these wires, and if you look at the ends you'll see like the silver, but right there you'll see the gold plating. Let me zoom in on that for you. You'll see the gold plating right there. So I'll go ahead and cut that wire, and then I'm going to take, let's see here if I can zoom in. I'm going to take that SMC chip, take that BGA, I'm going to take this flat pack, these two IC chips, these IC chips, these IC chips, and this guy right here, for all of you that don't know, that's tantalum. And right now, tantalum is worth a lot of money, so those are worth saving up. Now, another thing I like to point out is these wires over here, especially on the older models. Flip them over on the back and just check them real quick in the sunlight. This one's no good, so we're not even going to bother with that one. But here is why I'm so pumped, because this is my favorite part about dealing with the older computers. And let's see if I can get this off. Alright, ready? This is my favorite. If I can get the thing off. There we go. Ready? Here we go. The big reveal. Look at that, guys. That's nice, man. And these right here, these Intels, have a high yield because they're like a CPU with like a BGA style setup in the middle. So in here, you're going to have pure 24 karat gold bond wires. You know, so what I do is I you know, if I can't get to the recovery, I sell mine on eBay for half price, so somebody else can make some money too. But look at that. That's awesome, man. That's huge. So now what I'm going to do is I'll show you guys how you get these pins off. You ain't got to, you know, get a heat gun or none of that stuff. I'll show you how to do it real quick if I can get the camera set up just right. So now I'm going to take these cards out. I'm keeping those, all the chips, these big pieces of tantalum right here, and we're going to save those up. And what I'll do is kind of take a good look at the board, and then I'll see if I can get the camera set up in such a way so you guys can see exactly what I'm picking off of here. So if you want to try this for yourself, you can. So be right back. Okay guys, now we're going to show you how we depopulate. My battery died on that last board, but we got a board that's very similar. Now these are the tools you're going to need if you decide to go the route I go. First off, pair of gloves, big old pair of nippers. You can get these at Harbor Freight. I love that place for this type of stuff. A little small 3-pound hammer. I use an old axe head from back in the day. Paint scraper. I like this one because it's very thin. You can see how the edges are kind of worn off. It's very thin. I just got to fix this, put a new handle on it. I really like this one because it's really flexible. Then I like to use a little rock hammer for that point. Sometimes when you're trying to get into certain places, this point will be very beneficial. So these are the tools we need. Now we're going to go ahead and get our good parts and show you guys how we do that. So let's see here. So first off, we use our axe. Now the way I do my recovery, I don't use nitric acid, so it's not I don't have to get the pins right out of the board. I can leave them right in the board. First off, these here, like I said, these are tantalum. You do need a flathead screwdriver to get these guys off. Basically, just get on the side, pry, and they pop right off. And let's start taking things apart. So let's go. Now, what we're going to do is we need to take this off. Notice the piece of wood I got here. This piece of wood is basically so I can cut things. What I like to do is keep the grain going the same way so that when I'm chopping, it's easier for it to get through and do what it needs to do. Now, let me see. I gotta find my nippers yesterday. Of course, let me go get those. Okay, we're back. It's always good to have a small pair of nippers too. Forgot to tell you that. Now, what I like to do is come through and pick off all the small stuff, like right here. This guy, this little silver guy here, he's a crystal oscillator. So we're going to take him, throw him in our bucket. Usually there's 2 or 3 on the board. All boards are different, especially, you know, in the different years that they're made. And now we're going to take our lithium battery. What I do is I just grab it by the point here, pops up, nice easy breezy. Then let's see, now it's time to get this tantalum. Now you want to be very easy with these guys. Just kind of nice and wiggle it back and forth, nice and easy. Don't go ramming it because you will break it. But that's your tantalum. Hopefully that's focusing. You know, definitely just basically put these in a sandwich bag and stock them up, and you know, you can go see your local scrapyard or eBay or something like that. So now let's see. Oh, we got another one here. Like I said, just nice and easy. All right, so now we got them tantalum off. The reason we wanted to take those tantalum off is because of the next step. The next step is where I was telling you, you want to do your chopping, and you want to make sure that you're with the grain of the wood. Now, what I also like to do is I like to make sure I get ultimate value from the board. So these here are sheet aluminum. See, I just pulled that right out. That goes in the sheet aluminum bucket. And when you pull them, just grab them by the top, squeeze just a little bit, and if you pull just slightly, the tabs will remain on the board. So now this is basically sheet aluminum, and the scrapyard will give you sheet aluminum for it. So you want to make sure all that stuff is out of your way when you're about to attempt the next move. So we're going to go ahead and get this out. See that the tab still stayed. So now we're getting value there. So now the next, I'm going to try to do this so you guys can see. Now this is where the big hammer comes in. So this is what I do. Everybody does their own thing, but here's what works for me. So hit it. Hit it. Now I don't want to go all the way because I don't need all this. I want to try to keep it is the less amount that I possibly need. So I mean the least amount of board, because when I go to do my recovery, I don't want to have a lot of junk metal in my solution. And then now I turn it this way, making sure I keep the axe with the grain. And I come over here on this side. And don't worry about anything being in your way. It'll move. That's what the axe for. So don't be afraid to chop right through stuff. Now see, bang. There it is. There's the gold-plated pins. Now what I'm going to do is I get a whole bunch of these together. Then what I do is I'll go ahead and I'll separate them. I'll cut right down the center of this, right down the middle on both sides, and then I just get rid of the plastic so that my solution can get through all the edges through here, all around it, and it's not getting, my solution's not getting caught up on the plastic. We don't want the plastic to hold a lot of the solution, because when you're trying to do the recovery the way I do it, there's a chance you could have some loss with your excess plastic. So we want to try to avoid that. That's going to go in the plastic bin. And so basically I'll show you guys how we do that in another video, but that's the gist of it, is you just want to get all this plastic off of here. And another thing, one way I do my recovery is I'll actually coat these. I take a little bit of clear coat spray paint and I spray paint the back of these, so that when I do my recovery, I'm not getting a bunch of silver and anything like that in my solution, so that my solution comes out pretty close to, you know, 22, 23K. So that's that. We throw that in our bucket. Now let's see, let's go to our next one. Now these guys here, these Intels, these are BGAs. These guys, you wouldn't know it, but inside this plastic cap is pure 24 karat gold bond wires. They're very, very, very thin wires. And this, and then these guys are definitely worth saving. And that's where this tool, the flat blade, comes into play. So now we see how we have some more stuff in our way, right? We want to get that out of our way, because again, we want to maximize our value here. So while we're, you know, harvesting parts, we're also creating, you know, a little side money at the same time. So we're getting rid of all these sheet aluminum capacitors, and see how I'm just kind of pulling them off like that, leaving that little piece of metal back on the board, so I'm not sending contaminants like that. And I basically just get what's in my way. Now there's different applications. Some guys will just stick with these and pull these off like that, but the reason I don't is because I don't think it doesn't pull them right for me. I'm kind of like perfectionist, so I like to use these because it's like ensures you're not gonna pull these out. See how I was able to just, that stayed right on the board. If I used it the other way, it wouldn't. And see how it has like a roll? If you put it here and you get them going in the same way, you can roll it right off of there. Okay, so that stuff's out of our way. We're clear. We're ready to go ahead and get this BGA off. So now you want to start out. You got to be careful because you will crack these tops. And when you crack the tops, they're a little bit more difficult to deal with. So what I like to do is just lightly get underneath these corners. Come over to this side. See, I'm keeping that blade flat. I'm not going crazy with it. What I want to do is loosen up the sides and keep that blade as flat as I can. And now what I'm going to do is flip it this way. And the object is you want to keep this blade as flat as possible so you don't crack that BGA. Because like I said, it becomes a mess when you get a bunch of them and you're trying to do a recovery. So keeping that blade flat, right underneath it. See how the blade's nice and flat? And bang. Now we have our BGA chip. And I'll show you guys how we process these in a later video. Right now, we're just going after gold bearing parts. Basically collecting gold ore from computers. Our next is we have a small BGA chip right here. Now let's get that guy. Now, here's what we're going after. We're gonna get these pins here, this pin, these aluminum capacitors. And we're going to get this Intel chip, this flat pack, this BGA, and this SMC. 1, 2, 3, 4 contain gold, and the pins contain gold. And so we're going to get those. And here's one that just kind of came off on its own, and it contains gold also. So we're going to throw that in our bucket. So now let's go ahead and get the next BGA out of there. Like I said, you want to keep that blade nice and flat. Just like so. There it goes. Nice little BGA. Nice little BGA chip. Oh, look at that. Look at that little guy. He'll pack a wallop, though. Alright, now let's get our SMC. Now, the SMCs, you don't have to use a flat blade. Just putting that out there. Like, you can go, like, bite the corner. Bite the corner. And then pop it up like that. And what's cool about that is you'll actually get rid of a lot of them tin lead legs, soldered legs that are on there, and saves it from getting in your solution. And you could also take them off with a flat razor too before you process these. But a lot of this stuff all takes different processes. So like the way your gold plated pins are different than how you would deal with plated foils, and those are different from how you would deal with chips. So now we got some more value here with this, some more sheet aluminum. Let's get that value. And now you wouldn't notice, now the reason I didn't mention these is because they're just hard to see and a lot of people might pass them up, but this is tantalum also. It's a black tantalum capacitor, and if you know what you're looking for, they'll be very close to what the yellow ones look like, but only in black. So you can keep those too. All right, so now let's get to the next one. All right, so what do we got here? Let's see if we can pop this off with the pliers. Oh, that was a nice one. That was easy. There's a nice little Intel. Yeah, that's a good one. Then we got this flat pack here. Let's see, which this guy. Oh, this is another good one. It was made in the Philippines, but these are have decent gold in them too. Now we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this aluminum here. Again, we want to make sure we recover all our value. Now, in here, these circle things are called ferrite. It's a form of iron. It's to help stop any type of interference with the wire itself. That's why you'll see these. So what I do is I have a bucket here that I use just for ferrite. And what I do, I clip that bottom wire, and I give it a little cut here and here. And then it doesn't work all the time, but there we go. Right into the bucket. See how that worked? Now, I can turn that in at the scrap yard when I turn in my tin. Some places will, if you do just a ferrite, some places will give you a little bit more. And, you know, there you go. You got a copper wire. Believe it or not, this stuff adds up. So, go ahead, get on your next one. Like I said, just clip the top. Make sure you're over a bucket, because you don't want to lose your ferrite. And then clip this. All you got to do, pull it. Easier said than done. Some of them come out easier, some don't. But there we go. Done. Nice, clean, number 2 copper. And the reason that's number 2 copper is you can't see it, but there's a tiny coating of shellac on there. So now, let's get our next bit of gold. You're like, Ken, we're running out of gold spots. No, actually we're not. So these here, I don't mess with. The gold value on these guys are so small. It's like you would need unheard of amounts to really get any value from these pins right here. So when I sell the board, I basically, whoever gets the board gets the gold here. The next valuable gold is going to be right inside this guy, where that big gold square was sitting in. Now let's get him next. Like I said, you want to make sure you're staying with the grain. And it saves a ton of time, man, I'm telling you. You gotta, this way you can get a whole bunch of them together and do them all at one time. And the sharper your axe is, the quicker it's going to go through these. This isn't the sharpest axe, this is just an old crunchy one I had, from years ago. Now what I'll do is I'll pop this plastic cover off. Inside here, I don't know if you can see those. These guys are called mlccs. Those contain silver, gold, and platinum. I'm sorry, palladium. Silver, gold, and palladium inside those little tiny barrels. So those barrels are definitely worth saving, putting in a coffee can, because there's so many on a computer board. It's senseless not to save them, honestly. So just throw them in a coffee can, and you can sell them to refiners online or save them up, whatever you want to do with them. But they got good value. Some scrap yards will buy these. Okay, now with these little fans, what I do is right here there's a little tiny edge. And all you do is you just clip that edge off like that, and then you can actually pull that whole wire out like this, and then all you got to do is just lightly grab it, pull it down. Now that's your electric motor, and you can turn that in as an electric motor. Throw that in your electric motor bucket, and then this goes in with your insulated wire. So now let's come down here, pop all these wires out. Some of them can be stubborn. Now, these ones right here, these are the more modern gold-plated pins. There's actually less gold plate, but they're still worth taking. So you're going to see these red cords, And then inside here, it's going to be hard for you to see. I had to actually get the phone out of the sun because it was overheating. But inside here is some really nice gold plate. And when you cut it, you want to cut it right just above this line, just above that line. So you come up here, about right there. Make sure you're nice and square with it. That's what you're looking for. And then what I do is I put my hand around it. Now I have this piece right there in my hand, and that's the gold plated item. That goes in the bucket. And then you just repeat the same thing on the other side. Just clip it. Now, these guys, they like to throw a bunch of, especially when you start getting into the older computers, they like throwing all these different bits at you. So I recommend going to Harbor Freight and just getting one of these little kits. Mine's beat to the band. I gotta break down and get a new one of these days. And they have generally every bit you're gonna need for dealing with PC towers. And then, so we're gonna switch out our bit. And then also at Harbor Freight, keep your eye out for these long multicolor bits. I tell you, these come in handy when you're trying to get into those deep pockets that are hard to reach. These long bits are worth their weight, especially when you're doing computer stuff. So let's go ahead, get a flat head on here. Yeah, we're using flatheads, if you can believe it. Button here. Now, what I do with this is where these nippers come in handy. Open them up like that. Get as close as you can to the end. Look at that. Almost did it all in one shot. Now, these, keep your eye open for these. These are actually pretty decent gold inside here too. Pretty decent plating, and we got lucky, we got two. So I'll show you where you want to pull them metal clips off before you cut them. Some of them have the clip and some of them don't, but like you'll see this little metal piece right here, you want to get that out of there before you get to any cutting. Now you take your nippers, put them right up just about the middle of where it would come into contact. Right about there. Then kind of put your hand around it like this. You got to squeeze really hard and you'll actually feel it give up. And I look and I check, I can see I got them all cut. Now it's just a matter of peeling it off. Okay, now in here is my gold plated item. Make sure your gecko's right in your bucket. Now here's another one. You see, now look at this one, doesn't have the metal clip. This one's just plastic. So right here, you'll see like a little groove. You want to put that nipper just above that groove. Right about there. Because you want it, because this on this side is where all your gold plate's going to be. Behind here is just all nothing. Nice. If you hear a click, that means you got a good cut. And now, our wire is clear of any gold materials. And now this can go in with insulated wire. Okay. Power box. Well, here's another one of these wires. Go ahead and clip it. Now here, sometimes you get these angled ones. So it's the same deal. Just get them nippers right up to that flat spot. Like that. I don't know if that's showing up, but that's how you want it to be, just like that. Cut it. And that's what you're looking for. That's the kind of cut you want to have when it's all said and done. And I just dropped the piece, of course I did. Here it is, got it. So when you cut it, your pins stay in this side, and now you can get rid of this wire. Go ahead, switch bits. Let's go back to the Phillips. Oh, nope, you gotta stay with the flathead. Okay. See here, yep, see these are nice gold plating right in here. And I'll show you how to get the gold out of there. It's actually real easy. Now inside here, let's bust this guy open. Sometimes it's easier said than done. All right, nice. Thank you so much. So I had to order some stuff off eBay because I'm going to get ready to do some gold recovery. So I needed crucibles, needed a few things, and I got a bunch of ore that I want to process, but I haven't brought it home or anything like that yet because I need a big jaw crusher to do it. So I'm working on trying to get one of those. But for now, we got plenty of gold right here. More than enough to, you know, this is equivalent to this is better than a gold mine, legit, because you're guaranteed a certain amount. Now, you could go out and beat yourself up all day, you know, climbing up rocks over mountains and blah blah blah, and not do nothing. But you know, maybe get a couple speckles, depending on where you're at, you know. Now here's what we got here. Let's pop this bad boy open. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. That's real nice, man. I don't know if you can see that bad boy. That's a good one. That's a nice home run right there. Alright. So, we got the good stuff. Let's get rid of our insulated wire. These right here, I just cut off. Inside here, there is gold plating, but it's not worth. It only goes on. It's like they call it it's like a flash plating. It's very minuscule. But these here, that's a whole different ball game. These are thick. That's a good one. Yeah, I love the older computers, man. The older computers is where it's at. And I do the recovery myself when I can get the time. And then if I can't, what I do is I figure the math out on my recovery and then sell it for less than what I would get, so you know, whoever buys it makes some money too on the eBay. Because I see a lot of people overpricing stuff, and it's not good. It's not good business. I tried selling ingots online, like the heat sink centers. I haven't had any luck with those, man. So I think what I got to do is get a bunch of them together and like sell them in a lot. Like, you know, you buy, you know, set them out and get this many. See, this is where them long bits come in handy, because I got this crazy little, this spot right here that's just so hard to get to with a bit like this. And this is where you gotta have patience. If you're a person that doesn't have patience, then this might not be something you're going to want to get into, because everything about this stuff is patience. From getting it out of the computer, from getting the gold out of the stuff, from sorting. I mean, there's a lot to it. This ain't something, you know, like you just jump into, you know, thinking you're going to be fast about stuff, because I tell you right now, it's not a fast thing. And now, say if I got a couple screws that are giving me a hard time, we just smash our way to success. So now, we got all the room in the world. Nope. Hey, look at that. Okay, we got one over here. We're going to smash our way to success on this side as well. I tell you that all the ones, I did probably 40 of these so far. This one's been the toughest one. Billion screws in here. Hey, there it is. And then I stomp my way to flat parts. Them nice and flat. Just like that. So we can toss them back in here. Okay, get our parts. Now, right off the bat, we want to get our lithium battery, our extruded aluminum, and that's going to be it for this board, really. Oh, and then we got our basically our equivalent to an SMC right here. But this would, you know, this is not a very good board. Oh, we got a couple pins on this side, nothing to write home about. So I'm really not impressed with this board. You know, this board is junk to me, you know, as far as value goes. The CPU is decent. The CPU slot is pretty good. So, you know, we'll get some decent gold out of that. And like this thing, this guy right here, we'll get some decent gold out of him. Let's see here. Oh, we want to get, oh, there's a silver oscillator. These are them silver oscillators right here. Let me see if I can point to it right there. These guys are what you do for silver recovery. These guys, there's usually like 3 or 4 of them on a board, so you definitely want to get those. Get our chip. See, we got a nice little spot right here. So let's get aluminum. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. I'm not gonna waste your time pulling all these guys off. Now, my next step is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the items that we're looking for inside these computers. These are slot cards. Now, these packs you see here, not this guy, but these little ones right here, these are really good. Sorry, the camera's all over the place. I had to use the tree as my tripod. These guys are definitely have a lot of gold in them, so keep those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and show you all the parts you're going to want to keep an eye out for when you're getting gold bearing parts from computers. So be right back. Sorry guys for the cut in the video. My phone overheated, unfortunately. But I wanted to show you what I've got done so far. And I've basically, these are all the computers that I've taken apart so far. And I still got a lot more to go, but this is where we're at so far. And I'm going to do a recovery of, I'm going to give you a count on how many computers are here and how much gold I was able to get out of them. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Okay, guys, here is everything you need to look for when you're dealing with a PC. Okay, so if you're doing silver, you're going to want to make sure you get all these guys here. Inside the middle of this, depending on the maker, is going to be a silver wire. Right in the center of that bad boy. So these are great for silver recovery. These two, these are called crystal oscillators. And there's actually little chunks of like a silver oxide that's inside these, which consists of like a white powder. These are great for silver recovery as well. Here's a bigger one. I like these bigger ones because they're easier to get the silver out of them. Oh, that's sunny too. Look at that. But these are great. Pretty much the same thing. They got the oxide crystals in there. So those are great for silver recovery. These here are another great for silver recovery. And these you want to look on the back because you got to look at the wires. If the wires are gold, you're going to want to pop that cap off because inside that layer is going to be some gold etching, and it's pretty decent. Here we have what's called an EEPROM. These you're going to see on older boards. You're just going to want to pop them out with a flathead screwdriver. And some of them, they're great for silver recovery, and some of them are really good for gold recovery. Like the ones with the little windows, sometimes you can actually see the little gold bonding wires inside hooked to the chip, which are really cool. I can't see the bonding wires in this one, so I'm thinking this is going to be a silver recovery scenario. But these EEPROMs, you're going to want to save those. And like I said, those are going to be on your older boards. Here, you have these connectors. These are going to be in your PC. These are heavily plated. And I'll show you how to get the gold out of these guys. You're going to have probably 3 or 4 of those in a PC. So keep your eye out for those guys. Here, you got various lithium batteries. The 2 on the right are from a PC. And the other ones on the left are actually from laptops. So keep your eyes out for those. Here is a RAM card. These RAM cards are in pretty much every old computer unless they've taken them out. This particular card is my favorite card. It's a DDR2 or 3. I'm not 100% sure. But see how there's no legs around the outside? It's just a flat pack. These are great for gold recovery because there's more gold content in these flat packs than some of the older brands. And you get 2 sides. And you get the gold foil. And this is a heavy foil plate too. That's not a chintzy plate there. That's pretty heavy duty. And so next is when you're going after these wires right here. These wires are going to run up to the front of your computer where all your lights and your memory cards and your SD cards are going to go. And that slot you're going to want to pull out because those have nice plating on them. The reason being the plating on these are so heavy is because you're constantly taking a card out, putting a card in, taking a card out, putting a card in. So they want to make sure that the gold don't wear off. And you can see that's real decent. So those are going to be in the front of your computer. Also, you got to keep your eye out for this is what's called ribbon cable. You can see there, it's very fine, but you know, it's gold and it's worth saving. So you just put those aside till you get a bunch of them. Next is I take my channel locks, and here is a phone jack. The phone jacks, again, have nice heavy plating because they're constantly plugged in and unplugged. So I always take the phone jacks. I just rip this off the board with my channel locks, and then I dismantle this down the road at a later date. These are also on a motherboard. These are going to be your plated pins. These are all over the board. And like I showed you guys, you just take your axe, chop any items off of there, and then just peel off all the plastics. I'll show you how we prepare these later. But right now, we're just stock items, stocking them up. RAM cards, I mean, not your RAM cards, but your information boards, slot cards. These guys you're going to want to save. And like I said, these chips here, they're really good. These guys, they're butt. Good gold plating here on the pins, good foil, gold chip, 2 more on the back. So keep your eyes out for those. Also on the motherboards, you'll see these little ports. Go ahead, just, I just chop it off with my axe. And then now this can get confusing for some people when you're taking the board apart and you're not sure. Especially for me, when I first started, I thought it was only SMC. I didn't think there was any other maker. So I'd be getting these boards and I'd start tossing boards out because I thought they weren't SMC until I got with my buddy and he's like, no, man, they're just different manufacturers. Same thing, different. I was like, so, well, I had a learning curve back there, but now you guys know, if you see these 4-legged square guys right here, that, but they just don't say SMC. They say something like this, or some of them won't have a name. Make sure you peel them off. They'll have 4 sides. They're usually by themselves, usually like up in the corner by the end of the motherboard. But you can't miss them. There might be 2 if you're lucky. Those are really good for gold recovery. Here are some more flat packs. These guys are really good for gold recovery. You can see it's just like a BGA style. So those are really good for gold recovery. Then you start stepping up. These are some, you're going to see a lot of these on the older computers, and some new computers have them, but whenever you see these big 4-sided packs, these are definitely keepers. These guys, you definitely, anything big and 4-sided, you're going to want to grab. Because like I said, let me see if I have one here. That's one of them. Actually, yeah, see? It's like a BGA almost equivalent. So, the gold recovery from these is really, really decent. Then we're going to move our way down into these guys here. Now, these, see how he's inside a little case? Inside a little case. Now, you got to get a little, what I use is I actually have a tool from Harbor Freight. It's like a little hook. And I stick it down in there and I pop this guy out. This is a small one, but these is basically the same thing. This is just bigger. When you pop it out, you'll see there's no legs welded to it. It just kind of sits right in there like that. So these guys up here, these guys here are different than these guys here. Now we're moving down to our MLCCs. MLCCs are great for gold, silver, and palladium. And they add up quick. There's a lot of these on boards. They're definitely worth saving. So, and I got a little jar that I've been stocking up, So, I got a couple in there. But, it takes a lot to get anything. But if you're doing it, save it up. Like I said, it's ore. It's precious metal. Next, these are my favorite, the BGA chip. They don't necessarily have to say Intel on them. As long as they look like this and they got a little gold corner on them, they're definitely worth keeping. Now, there's two styles to this chip. There's this chip here, and then there's another one that has a silver circle around it. The one with the silver circle around it, that's a copper heatsink. And the gold recovery is not going to be as intense as it would be if you were getting it just a flat top. So there's two different kinds. There's these type, and then there's one with a silver circle. The silver circle isn't that great. You'll get decent gold. You need a lot of them, but they're nowhere near the gold recovery like you would get from this style right here. Now moving on, here's our tantalum capacitors. These are those little yellow things I was telling you about. You can go online and sell these to various refineries, and they'll buy them right off you. Next, we move on to gold capacitors. And you say, man, how do we know there's gold in them? Well, it's real easy. It says it right on it. See that little gold stripe? So now we know there's gold in this one. And let's see, gold stripe right there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yep, gold stripe. So there's gold in that one. And there's gold in each one of these because they all have a gold stripe on them. They're not super great, but you get a bunch of them and they become great. Next is when you're dealing with electronics, there's going to be usually where the power cord goes, where the power runs into the power box. Near the power box, you're going to have these little black boxes. All right, they look something like this. You'll see how they click in at the bottom. Zoom in there. See that little bottom just kind of pops off. We could pop that off with a screwdriver. Inside this little box is this guy. All right. It's like a little conductor. And what happens is when you flick the switch or whatever, these two contacts touch like this. And it turns on your device. When you turn it off, they release and the thing turns off. Now these guys right here are little silver dots that you can cut off and, save up. But those are little silver contacts right there. As you're going through them, let me try to zoom in here. Sorry about this. Let me get you some better light. There we go. Let me see if I can set this down. There we go. So you'll see the silver contacts right there. You can cut them off. They're the those little tiny circles. Those right there is what you're going after. When you start doing them, you definitely check them because some of them are gold plated. And I'll give you an example. Like I was taking one apart and I found this bad boy here. And that's pretty heavily plated. So that's a win. So we're going to put that with our gold plated items. And here's a better shot of the contact. Here's what it looks like opened up. So you can see the silver is basically almost like mounted right to the copper. So you just kind of cut that off or pop it off or however you want to go after it. But those are silver and they add up quick, and these can get you a good recovery real fast. All right, next are contacts. Now, wherever you have a push button, behind each one of these buttons is a little tiny dot of silver. And that's every push button item, stereos, you name it. I just save them in the strip like this. And then once I get a bunch of them, I just process them all at the same time. So silver contacts are great. And now we're going to move into our CPUs, the center of the computer. Now, what I've done here is there's various years, basically all the way back from the beginning to modern day CPUs. So, this is one of the older styles. These guys have almost a half a gram of gold in them, each one. This particular style anyways. This style, pretty close. I think it's like 0.2, something like 0.2. I can't remember. It's really good recovery anyways. Then we got these right here are from projection TVs. These are awesome for gold recovery. You know, look at the back. Like, these are great. So then we move down. You know, as the years progress, we start getting less gold. You bust this off, and inside here, usually in the back, every now and again, you can get some gold brazing on this. And then these guys, now these guys pack a wallop, because inside that black pack is equivalent to a BGA, and the BGAs contain pure 24 karat gold bond wires. So these guys, I think, have 0.28 grams of gold, if I can remember correctly, which was like, these was like 0.20 or something like that. Then you start getting up into here, and these guys, all you're really getting is what you got on the pin when you get up to here. Well, you might have some on the back of this. These guys here, these flat packs are really nice. It's heavy plating, and you get a nice little chunk of copper. And then I've left this one in its socket, so when you're in the computer, obviously you pull this guy up, you know, pull the handle up. This guy comes out of his little slot, and then there's all your gold plated material. And inside this slot here, you get all these. This is why I chopped this out off the motherboard, because you get all these mlccs in there, and then you can see where those pins would drop into place. So if you pop off that plastic jacket, you'll see all the gold plated acceptor pins inside there. And again, so now we come over here to your ribbon cables. You got to look at these. Now what I do is I clip off the edge. If you clip off the edge, you want to see gold plate all through it. If it doesn't have gold plate all through it, it ain't worth keeping. So you can see the gold right there. So now I know that this particular ribbon's worth keeping, because the whole thing's plated. It's not just the front tips. So these ribbons, keep your eyes out for you. Just like I said, clip the front. If you see the plate, gold plate right off the bat, then it's a keeper. Next thing, we have all our computer ends. Cut every single one of these off, because like I said, the gold plating on these is very heavy, and that's due to constantly being plugged in and unplugged, plugged in and unplugged. Then you obviously have your hard drives. You collect those. Those get processed at a later date. And so, you know, just to kind of give you an idea, this is what I have so far of, I got my capacitors here, my fuses, my silver fuses, crystal oscillators, the bigger crystal oscillators. I got my lithium batteries. This is my CPU bundle here. This is a big set of CPUs. This is all CPUs in here. This is the chips that we got here. We've got, here's all our SMCs. Here's all our dip legs. Then this is miscellaneous ICs. These are the 2-leg ICs. And then I got my big flat packs there. And then here's the ones I was showing you guys that basically just sit inside the little slot. Then we got capacitors, plugs, and I think that just about covers it. But this is the stuff you guys are looking for when you're doing gold recovery from computers and electronics. I hope this was helpful. And one more thing before I go. If you're dealing with walkie-talkies, old cell phones, make sure you pull the antenna. Because inside that antenna, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. This is going to be tough. You can see that gold dot right in the center. That's pretty long, and it's heavy plate. So though I know it, you wouldn't think it's, it's a lot of work. Actually, it's worth it. Just all you need is a pair of good cutters or some bolt cutters, and I think it's like maybe a 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch long, and if you can cut it down the middle, there's plated inside and out, and it's heavily plated too. So these old antennas have a decent amount of, there's nothing up in the top. It's all right down here at the bottom. So hopefully I was able to help somebody out there. And thanks for tuning in, guys. See you on the next adventure.